Sadaşivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Shruti-smriti-purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat-padam Shankaram Loka-Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya dakshina murtaye namaha. Om. So we can just chant the verse that we were seeing, verse number 7. We can all chant together. Masabda yuga kalpeshu Gatagam yeshvane katha no devti nastameteka samviddesha swayam prabha. So we were seeing the unfoldment of consciousness as a non-changing entity. Sat, which is in all periods of time. In the past it existed, in the present it continues to exist, future it will also be there. It is the one timeless entity we saw that lends existence to all the three states of experience. It lends existence to the waking state, lends existence to the dream state, and we saw it lights up even the deep sleep state, lights up the ignorance or the darkness of the deep sleep state. And this verse, Vidyaranya, spoke about consciousness as never rising. It never rises in time, because sometimes there's an idea that consciousness rises along with the thought and then it goes down. Then it rises and then it goes down. No. There is an actual, stream of Buddhism called Vijnanavadis that talk about consciousness coming up, flickers of consciousness. There's no flickers of consciousness. It is always there. So he is saying here that na udeti, it never rises in time. Nastameti, it never sets at any moment, because it lights up any rising or setting. It is the one that illumines anything that comes in time and departs in time. If itself was rising or departing, then it would need another illuminator to illumine, to witness the rising and setting. But it does not have another seer beyond itself to witness it. That's why it's so difficult to grasp, because not an object for knowledge. All that we know in this jagat is an object of knowledge. It is something external to ourselves in space and time. Any knowledge of any field of knowledge, it's like that. It is study of something which can be objectified. Here, it is the study of the very objectifier. That is why it is very difficult to grasp this, because it is ahankara studying it will not be able to get it. Ahankara itself is objectified. Ahankara inquiring will not understand fully unless it is revealed by a means of knowledge. An external means of knowledge is needed to see the truth of one's real nature. So here he says that it is self-effulgent. He says it is self-effulgent. We saw that also. that self-evidency, all these words are there in English, self-revealing, self-effulgent, self-luminous. You will read all of this in the Vedānta text, which only means that you don't need a pramana to reveal the self. The pramana, means of knowledge, is not for revealing the self. In the beginning, we take it as a means, we call it means of knowledge. But the means of knowledge should be understood as means of ignorance removal, because that is what the pramana really does. It doesn't give you knowledge of yourself, because you already know you exist. You already know you exist, but what is the problem? We don't know how we exist. We don't know in which form we exist. So that I am is always colored by various identifications. When I say I am fat, I am thin, that I am is, it takes on the attributes of the physical body. When I say I am restless, I am disturbed, where is the I? Where is the I placed? It goes to the mind. In one day, this is also a good meditation. One day, see all the places where I is placed. All the koshas, we talk about, these are the koshas, the levels of error. Koshas are not sheets that cover Atma. They are levels of error the mind commits or the I commits of erroneous identification. I is 1 minute identified with the physical body. It is identified at 1 p.m. or at 6:30 p.m. with the pranamaya kosha, which is the hunger and thirst, at dinner time and lunch time. It is identified there with the stomach. Oh, I am hungry. I am satisfied. I've eaten. Oh, I've eaten very well. So I am is identified with the hunger and thirst there. Next moment, I is identified with what? The mind. It's identified with the states of the mind. I'm feeling very restless today. I'm feeling disturbed. Or I really feel like doing this. All the, the manaha aspect is all over the place. Generally, our main identification is with manaha. That is why liberation, when we say liberation, it is not really for the physical body. Liberation is for what? It is for the manaha. From the manaha, we want to be liberated. We don't want this identification always with the manaha aspect of thinking. At least with buddhi, we are very decisive. Buddhi is that thought form which is rational, decisive, the non-emotional thinking faculty, the thoughts, which are, you have some security when you're, identify with buddhi in a way that you have clarity. Buddhi is knowledge. So that is why in Vedanta we first develop the intellect. We are, through all the practices, you're moving from the mana aspect to the intellect, buddhi aspect, like giving the reins to Krishna in the chariot of your life to guide the reins of the mind. Because Krishna, in that analogy of the chariot, he represents the buddhi. The horses are the 5 sense organs. The mind is the reins. And if you let the reins go, the horses go all over the place. Mind goes along with the horses. But if the intellect manages the reins, then the horses also can be put in the correct direction, the correct pursuit. So this is first level of Vedanta study, helps the individual to give more power to the intellect rather than the manaha aspect of thinking. There's nothing wrong with manaha, but the heavy identification with manaha keeps us always in this swinging from different moods. 1 minute happy, 1 minute sad, 1 minute like this, 1 minute like that, and we don't enjoy the changes. To be changing always along with my mind, who enjoys that? No, we want to be stable, we want to be changeless because that is our true nature. So this is this is our mistake we make. We make the mistake even on the Vijnanamaya Kosha level. When I identify with the buddhi also, it's an error. So although we say, take the reins of the mind, give the intellect the reins of the mind, but ultimately the reins of the mind are, who is driving the reins of the mind? The I thought. Buddhi includes I thought, ahankara. And ahankara is also mithya, right? So ahankara is needed to manage the mind, the other thoughts. Without ahankara, you cannot manage the other thoughts. You can't even recognize the other thoughts. So Vijnanamaya Kosha, sometimes I'm in Vijnanamaya Kosha, and what I really love is Ananda. I am Ananda. And when I'm in Anandamaya Kosha, I say, I'm so happy. I feel so content, so happy today. But I'm identified with a vritti, thought modification again. If the Ananda is dependent on thought change, when the mind becomes more sattvic, the thought of, the happy thought comes up. So this is how Shastra explains happiness, our experience of happiness. When the mind is brought to a level of sattva, which means there's a resolution of the thinking, of the seeker, then the happy vritti comes. This happiness vritti is a reflection of Ananda, my true nature. But this happiness thought form shines through the mind. And when it shines through the mind, it is only a reflection. And what is the problem with reflection? Reflection comes and goes. So the happiness I experience in Anandamaya Kosha is also an error of the I. It commits an error because it takes that to be real happiness, and it wants to cling to that happiness when it is based on thought form. Any happiness based on thought forms will always change. So that is why it is not permanent Ananda, and this is the levels of error we commit with the I. Consciousness, what is it doing? Through all the koshas, it is just, hey, I'm here. I'm lighting everything up. Look at me, recognize me. No, but I is all over the place. One day, very good meditation. Have a look at where the I thought is going. Where is it identified? Bring it back. See, I am that limitlessness, that consciousness that lights up these thoughts, lights up this identification. So consciousness needs, he says, nothing to light it up. All the indriyas are lit up. The indriyas are the sense organs. They are lit up by consciousness. I always use this example of, in India we have this dish called pakoras. I don't know whether you know pakoras. A bit like, they're like, you fry them in hot oil. Quite tasty dish, fried in hot oil. And this consciousness is like, borrowed consciousness is like frying pakoras. How is that? The fire is there. First of all, we have to have a fire. And then we put the pan on the fire. The pan gains the heat from where? The fire, right? Then I pour oil into the pan. And oil also gains the heat. Where from? The pan. But where is the original heat from? Fire. Does the original heat belong to the pan or the oil? No, it belongs to the fire. So now pan gets heated up, oil gets heated up, batter is there. There is no hot batter already. I put the batter in the oil, then what happens? Batter also heats up. Because batter borrows the heat from the oil borrows the heat from the pan borrows the heat from the fire. This is exactly how consciousness works. Frying pakoras. Remember, consciousness, when it manifests, first through the I thought. I thought borrows consciousness. I thought lends consciousness to other thoughts. And the whole system comes, borrowed consciousness through the sense organs. This consciousness, reflection of consciousness, or the borrowed consciousness goes out through the sense organs and establishes the world. What we say, this object is, we saw that the existence of Every object, everything in the world, my experience is because of borrowed consciousness saying, yes, this exists, this is happening. I register this situation in my mind. That is how this consciousness gets manifest through the body-mind-sense complex. So there is nothing to light up consciousness because it is that which lights everything else up in the Jagat. It doesn't depend also on another consciousness. He says here, Esha Samvit Nitya. That is why it is Nitya, it is eternal, it is Sat, and it is one. When we say one, we should never include second. One. That's why we qualify the one, because when one comes into the picture, maybe two, you will think there's 2, 3, 4, 5. No, one without a second. Eka Samvit Nitya, it is always there. Esha Samvit Chit Nitya. So the consciousness shining through my mind is also eternal. It is always there. It is timeless. Everything else, like the frying of the pakoras, is borrowed consciousness. Which borrowed consciousness means dependent reality. Borrowed consciousness, you remember, equals dependent reality. So this is how I come into existence. And to establish the presence of Atma, we don't need a pramana. So he says that here because Atma handles all the means of knowledge. Atma handles through the vritti of the I, it handles all the means of knowledge. So consciousness does not require any means of knowledge to bring it to light. It lights up all the means of knowledge. So it is called, he uses the word Swayam Prabha. Swayam Prabha means it is always shining. Its light is the closest analogy that in the Vyavaharika, all examples are limited. We can never say the example matches exactly what consciousness is. But light is a very good example because it brings things to light, yet it is unaffected by the things it illumines. This is how consciousness is. So the true meaning of the word I, Vidyaranya, says here in the verse, is not the changing body, mind, senses. It is also not the changing I thought. I thought is always going here, there, everywhere on travel through the koshas, daily traveling. First it's traveling through the states of experience. Then it's traveling through the koshas. I has this wanderlust. It is always traveling everywhere. I am never travels. I am is existence revealing itself as consciousness. I am. That is always there. So when everything is not there, also the I am is still there. I am is that independent existence. Minus objects, I am shines. In the presence of objects, I am shines. That is why we have these nididhyasana meditations where we meditate on asangaha. Swamiji often brings in this line for meditation. Asangoham, asangoham, asangoham punah punaha. Satchidanandarupoham ahamevahamadvayaha ahamevahamavyayaha. Advayaha, avyayaha, I am a partless whole. Asangaha, asangoham, I am that uninvolved consciousness. Asanga literally means uninvolved. Nothing can affect me because I light up everything, uninvolved consciousness, and I am in the form of Sat Chit Ananda, which never undergoes any change. This is what Vidyaranya says here. And now he moves from the 3 states of experience and to the changeless nature of consciousness to Anandaha, the other part. Sat and Chit, he has explained in these previous verses, Now he goes to explaining Anandaha, limitless. So we can read the 8th verse. He says, you can repeat twice after me. Iyamatma paranandaha.
Iyamatma paranandaha. Iyamatma paranandaha.
Sometimes it's Ayamatma, some readings, Ayamatma also. Parapremaspadam yataha.
Parapremaspadam yataha. Parapremaspadam yataha.
Manabhuvam hi bhuyasam.
Manabhuvam hi bhuyasam. Manabhuvam hi bhuyasam.
Iti prematmani kshyate.
Iti prematmani kshyate. Iti prematmani kshyate.
Full verse together. Iyamatma paranandaha. Parapremaspadam yataha. Manabhuvam hi bhuyasam. Iti prematmani kshyate. So he says, this self is limitless happiness, limitlessness, which is happiness. Paranandaha. Because he gives a cause for it, because it is the abode, it is the source of the highest love. Parama premaspadam. It is the source of the highest form of love. Indeed, the love for oneself is seen in the universal wish. May I not cease to be. May I continue to be. So may I cease not to exist. May I continue to exist. Ma nabhuvam hi bhuyasam iti. Thus, love is observed with regard to the self. Prematmani ikshate. So real love is actually towards oneself. That is what he says here. What is this I that I love so much? You may think I don't like myself much. That's what we feel. But what we don't like is the displeased me. It is the unhappy me I don't like. But if I really examine, I am the source of love for myself. I love myself. I don't want to, he says, that I don't want to die shows what? I love myself. I want to continue. May I continue. May I not cease to exist. That you want to continue, that you wish to exist, shows that your love is for yourself. Atma Paramanandaha. It is Ananda Swarupa, limitless Ananda. Sometimes, I know it sounds very selfish, but it is not, not everyone, but generally you find, when there's any kind of disaster or something like that, when you're trying to save, when you find yourself in a very difficult predicament, usually do we think of anyone else? We will run to save ourselves, right, first. Usually human beings, very rarely there's a human being who says, let me save somebody else, let me take care of somebody else. But if you're put in a situation where you have to save your life, I want to live, I want to live, I want to continue, I want to exist. Here he says it reveals what? That I love myself. If I did not love myself, I would not bother, right? But I love myself. So the survival instinct actually reveals that I have love for myself. I want to continue. So Atma, he says here, it is Ananda Swarupa. It is limitlessness, limitless Ananda, limitless joy. And Atma is Parapremaspadam. Aspadam, very nice. It is an object of love. Atma is the object of love. So what does I really love? It loves the pleased, as we've seen, the pleased self. When it comes up, there is a feeling that comes. That pleased self is the reflection of your true nature, and I love that feeling. It is only a fleeting feeling, as I said, in Anandamaya Kosha, identified. It is a fleeting feeling, but it's a glimpse into your nature. These moments of Ananda that we have in this transactional reality give us glimpses into our true reality, which is permanent Ananda. So that is the difference. I move from temporary Ananda, which little glimpses, to Ananda which never wanes. It never goes. It is changeless. Changeless equals limitless. That's why Sat equals Chit, Chit, Sat, Chit equal Ananda. Everyone equals everything else. So Parananda Swarupa, and he establishes, there is a lot of technical things. I'm not going to go into technical logic here for this verse, but Atma, he says, is Parananda, the highest form of happiness, and that is the goal, sadhyam. In Sanskrit you call it sadhya or sadhyam. The goal for everybody is the discovery of this highest happiness, and the hetu is why. Hetu means cause, because its nature is Parama Prema Aspadam, love without conditions. The nature of Atma is love without any conditions, unconditional love. So unconditional love is the cause for our limitless happiness. If we feel loved unconditionally, how do you feel? You feel, if anyone has unconditional love in their life, if they're blessed with unconditional love, very rare to get unconditional love in the world, but there is a fullness you feel. So in the same way, he says the cause for the feeling of limitless happiness is the unconditional love of yourself. You are blessing yourself all the time without knowing it. All of us are blessing ourselves, but we just don't recognize it. Highest form of love is already there in Atma. And he says, wherever there is limitless love, there is limitless Ananda. So this limitless love and limitless Ananda always equated to each other. We love an object. Why? Why do we love an object? We say we love an object because it is source of Ananda for me. This is something which we can examine again and again, because again something to assimilate. We don't love any object, person or situation if it ceases to be a source of Ananda for me. Just look at our lives. Will we be close to anything or anyone if it ceases to be an object of Ananda for me? No. It's very rare that we stay in situations. There are times when people stay, but even if the object is giving me displeasure, I don't want to be there, right? It is not, I may be forced into situations to stay where displeased me is constantly triggered, but my mind is saying, I don't want to be here. I don't want to. Because nobody wants to be in a situation where Ananda is not there. If the opposite is triggered. So here, we don't love an object that does not give Ananda. And if Ananda diminishes from the object, situation, person, what happens? Love also diminishes. So it is not real love. Here, Vidyaranya is asking the question that was asked, before. He's answering it here with this. Love and Ananda are very closely connected. They are one and the same. Limitless love equals limitless Ananda. That is the equation. If love diminishes, Ananda diminishes as well. This is our experience throughout all our lives. So, Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati, the sentence of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, is something to note as a mantra. Everything is loved for one's own Ananda. Nothing is loved for the sake of the other thing. He says, that The wife is loved for, what is the wife loved for? For the wife's sake? No, for the husband's sake. Wife is loved for husband's sake. Husband is loved for wife's sake, right? It is never for the sake of the object that you love something. So it is only always in life for my own sake that I love something, because it triggers ananda in me. And if Atma is the source of ananda, then everybody should love themselves, right? But we find we don't love ourselves, we dislike ourselves. From time to time, we dislike ourselves. Why do we dislike? So as I said, it is not Atma we dislike. We dislike the condition where I am not able to manifest my true nature. What I want to remove is not that love which is always there. The condition, as we saw in the earlier class, the clouds I don't like, which cover my self that shines always. When the clouds come, I feel I cannot cope with these clouds, but I don't see Atma is always shining. It is just these clouds that come and go. And if I understand, if the that's why we say cognitive shift. Vedanta is all about cognitively shifting. It is from one perception of yourself to see yourself in reality, which is this Paramahamsa spadam. I don't hate Atma. What I hate is the unhappy self. The unhappy self which is triggered by karma, triggered by other things. But that is what I want to get rid of. So I want to get rid of suffering. I don't want to get rid of Atma, because my commitment is to what? Ananda. All our commitment is only to Ananda, to discovery of Ananda. So this is something also Swamiji often used to say, if you give a solution to that person to get out of their problem, their suffering, then they will not dislike themselves anymore. So it is only the suffering that is disliked. It is not the self that is disliked. It's also important to notice. I never really dislike myself. I dislike the thoughts about the wrong self. The wrong thoughts about the wrong self. That is what I have wrong thoughts about the wrong self. That I'm limited. That I'm nobody. Nobody loves me. Every human being goes through these phases where we feel alienated, isolated. We don't feel appreciated. We don't feel we're worth anything to anybody. Everybody, sit with yourself for a length of time and these thoughts start coming up. That's why everybody's running away from themselves. Because the moment, you sit with yourself for a length of time, then all the kashaya, all this suppressed things start coming up. I'm no good. I'm nothing. I cannot sustain a relationship. I can't do anything. I can't even keep my dog happy. I can't keep my pets happy. I can't do anything. All weird thoughts start coming, and then I start believing in those thoughts. Displeased. Soon as I believe in negative thoughts, displeased self arises, and then I want to run away from that displeased self, because it's suffering. It is not because I don't love myself. Love is always there for myself. I am committed to that ananda, Paramahamsa, because I know myself to be the nature of ananda. When something comes in between me and my ananda, I don't like it. Get rid of it. This is what we are doing. So he says here, the suffering is the part that people want to end. But this is a love. The prema he talks about here, ma na bhuvam, let there not be an end for me. I don't want an end for me. I want to continue. That's why we see many Hollywood, Bollywood movies with, these science fiction movies, everybody trying to become immortal, freezing yourself, doing all sorts of things. Why? Immortality on the physical level is impossible. Even if it, because Sukshma has to come to the physical body, right? So people don't understand. It is not the body that has life. It is the sukshma that enlivens the body. You can't freeze sukshma. It is subtle. You can't freeze your sukshma shariram, unfortunately. Who would want to freeze and come back at that sukshma anyway? But people, you see, all, science fiction, people want to, this immortality is something that people have in all cultures, everything. I want to live forever. I don't want to be, there's ma na bhuvam. Let there never be an end for me. What does that reveal? It reveals that actually there is no end for me. It reveals that my nature is endless, timeless nature. What I reject when I say ma na bhuvam, let there not be an end for me, what I'm saying is that I don't know I'm timeless. I think I'm mortal, but actually I am immortal. My nature is immortality. But because I identify with mortality, I think there's an end, and I don't like it. Remember that rule? Anything that is not my nature, I reject. Anything that is not my nature, if mortality was my nature, I would be very happy being a mortal. Immortality is my nature. That is why I reject mortality. I don't want to die. Ma na bhuyasam, may I be there always. May there not be an end for me. May I be there always. So from this we can deduce what? Myself, Atma, is the source of Ananda for me. I love myself. I want to exist forever. So this is the unfoldment of Vidyaranya, very beautiful unfoldment. He also has gone into other texts into this Parama Prema, but he said that Nityatvam he revealed of Sat and Chit, and Samvit he called it consciousness. Now wherever Prema is there, whenever this love, highest love is there, there Atma is. So wherever the highest manifestation of love is there, unconditional love. Sometimes we have glimpses of unconditional love. Either we are loved unconditionally by someone, or we in turn have moments where we feel unconditional love for another being. That is your true nature actually. The demanding love is not real love. The I love you if is not real love. I love you because is not real love. I love is real love. So this is what he says here. We will see more tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om